Bamboo fire make so, make so. Bamboo fire, what kind of fire? Bamboo fire make so, make so. Bamboo fire, what kind of fire? Bamboo fire make so, make so. Bamboo fire, hot, hot fire. Bamboo fire make so, he make so. Bamboo fire, hot, hot fire. Bamboo fire make so, he make so. Bamboo fire, bamboo fire make so, he make so. So 6 o'clock and the thing not ready. Bamboo fire make so, make so. 6 o'clock and the thing not ready. Bamboo fire make so, make so. 6 o'clock and the thing not ready. Bamboo fire make so, make so. 6 o'clock and the thing not ready. Bamboo fire make so, make so. Man come home and the pot not done yet. Bamboo fire make so, he make so. Man come home and the pot not done yet. Bamboo fire make so, he make so. Man come home and the rice not fire. Bamboo fire make so, he make so. Man come home and the rice not fire. Bamboo fire make so, he make so. Bamboo fire, hot, hot fire. Bamboo fire make so, make so. Bamboo fire, hot, hot fire. Bamboo fire make so, make so. Bamboo fire, hot, hot fire. Bamboo fire make so, make so. Bamboo fire, hot, hot fire. Bamboo fire make so, make so. Give me the water, be out of the fire. Bamboo fire make so, he make so. Give me the water, be out of the fire. Bamboo fire make so, he make so. Give me the water, be out of the fire. Bamboo fire make so, he make so. Give me the water, be out of the fire. Bamboo fire make so, he make so. Bamboo, bamboo fire 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 make so, 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 make so. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko licky love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko licky love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko kissy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko chasey love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko chasey love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko catchy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko catchy love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, police are come. Sanko boy, you better run. Sanko boy, policeman are come.
Sanko squeezy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko squeezy love up on the dam and the gala holla murder.
Police are come and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla murder. Sanko lefty love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Sanko lefty love upon the dam and the gala holla murder. Police are come and the gala holla.
This is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm.
Good evening. Guess what? It's 8 minutes after 9 o'clock. Let's start off right away with abusing right off the bat. Look, this guy, Noel Isaacs, is saying, you guys need to be more prompt. What sort of presumptuous comment is that? More prompt? Please, somebody say something there to help me, because I really don't want to respond to Noel Isaacs. You guys need to be more prompt. Okay. I don't know what is it that we saying, guy. Where's my good grass is here tonight? Good evening to all of you. It's 8 minutes after 9 o'clock, and welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much, Roberto Gonzalez. Buenas noches. You're right. I mean, looking at this guy, Noel Isaacs, just being so presumptuous. You guys gotta be more prompt. What is what? I mean, you guys help me. You guys come help to contain me, hold me back or something, man. That's weird, man. Where's the comment, Lemon? Lemon, where's the comment? Where is the comment, Lemon? Where is the comment? Put the comment back up. We see a Trenchy right off. A Trenchy, a Trenchy already started abuse. Not Noel Isaac. The Trenchy just started, right? Well, let's Lemon, let's go back to this comment while we warm things up and you guys share the link. I want to, because I couldn't believe what I read, right? Look, it's right here, guys. You guys need to be more prompt. Mark, rest yourself, buddy. I'm talking to myself. Don't respond to him. Don't respond to him, right? Do not respond to him. Sorry about that. Had to take that important call. The calls that are always important, you got to stop because you think that it's an emergency there coming in, and those calls from Guyana with information upon information upon information. Now, let me ask you guys this. If you know this number, we've got to get to the bottom of this. If you know this number, if you know this number, we've got to look at this number, 667-2279. 667-2279. We've got to. And nobody's going to mix me up in a Kwame type of business. Not me. And a Kwame type of business? Are you kidding me? A Kwame type of business? These people are so presumptuous, but they have no shame, right? Pull me. Look at this number. You guys jot this number down if you're in Guyana. Find out who this number is, who this number belongs to, and just find out who that number belongs to. Please find out who that number belongs to. Don't mix me up in no Kwame type of business. You know, this guy here has been notorious when it comes to certain things, but don't mix me up in them kind of certain things at all. Not me. Absolutely not me. And if the person from this number wants serious legal problems, that's all I'm saying. Take a look at that number. Take a look at that number. You know, take a look at that number. And I will say nothing further from here. So, good evening and welcome to Straight Up. My name is, look, forget about Noel, man. Noel just having fun. But I understand. Let me break this down to let me break this down here with Noel a little bit. That let me break this down here a little bit. Noel, we understand that you guys want information. We are here to, provide that information. Sometimes you guys get a little impatient when we're not on or when we run late and so forth and so on. I could understand all of that, right? But understand that we have other stuff to do as well. We are not elected official. I'm not an elected official, right? I'm just a guy who hops on the radio station. And radio station, mind you, not just a Facebook. I just put the Facebook camera on and that's it, right? A radio station. And so Noel Isaacs, I understand there are lots of Noel Isaacs out there who want information and want us to be able to provide that information. So I'm not making a mockery of Mr. Isaacs' statement at all. But I'm just letting Mr. Isaacs and others know that, go after the opposition politicians, go after them and tell them they need to be more prompt. They need to go out there. Go after them. Don't beat up on me. Because what? The program starts at 9. Lemon, the operator, put the program on at exactly 9 o'clock. And I don't know, man. What's going on with Noel Isaacs? What's going on with Noel Isaacs? Noel Isaacs wouldn't say, hey, man, how can I contribute to make the show better? How can I contribute in whatever? He just sit down there with his popcorn and you guys got to be more prompt. You guys got to be. I bet if I put this up, where's Lemon? Lemon, put our information up. I bet you Noel wouldn't even be prompt to respond to this message. Noel wouldn't be prompt and respond to this. Noel, would you respond to that? Would you be prompt to respond to that? I'm listening. I'm waiting to hear Noel say something. Will you be prompt and respond to that? That's our information. If you want to make the show better, if you want us to be on time, then, okay. Noel, that was for you. That was for you. Good evening and welcome to Straight Up. My name is Mark Benshop. Lots of things happening in Guyana, right? Lots and lots of things happening in Guyana. It appears as though the peanut butter crew, the head of the peanut butter crew, is back to his old tricks again. And we've got to be careful of these individuals. Allegations of interfering little boy, all these manner of things. It has got to stop. Interfering little boys, they've got to stop this nonsense. They've got to stop it. Many of you remember years ago, there was a recording with the guy who sits there as minister, so-called minister of information and all. These are the guys. allegations of buggery and all manner of things. By the way, that word is in the dictionary, right? Buggery. All forms of allegations. Allegations of molestation and all manner of things from these. These are the type of people that we have that is in office, that are in office, over there in that. All manner of things. Don't try to put your dirty stain on me of all persons. So whoever this number belongs to, I'm going to keep a track of this number. A thing in the finger there. You guys remember out in Linden, there's an opposition member of parliament, right? An opposition member of parliament. Hey, Raul Chambers, you're right. Bunch of pedophiles. A bunch of them. Lots and lots of them. Dirty looking ones, them too, right? But you guys recall there was a time, not so long ago in Linden, there's a member of parliament, something these calabash looking individuals in the installed PPP regime were saying something. And there's this MP from Linden who doesn't do much. He doesn't do much. Y'all know there are two MPs in Linden. One works a little bit and the other one doesn't do much at all. But the other one who doesn't do much, who doesn't do much, was on social media or somewhere warning people, warning the regime, warning y'all, I'm like, gosh, I haven't seen him back on TV or whatever warning anybody, but he's been more cozy with some of them in the PPP regime. Y'all take warning. This is what I'm going to say to you guys. Take warning. All right, Raul. Yeah, we know what's the deal, my brother. We know what is the deal. Good evening to all of you. I got some information for you. And the information I got for you, lots of information. The one that I have is corrupt officials. Where is J.R. Crawford? Can our operator try to get J.R. Crawford? Let us know if he's available to come on with us for a few minutes tonight. If not, we'll bring him on some other time. But while we await J.R. Crawford, let me see if you guys know this guy. This guy is Paul Pelosi. Pelosi is the husband of Nancy Pelosi, or some say Pelosi, who is the Speaker of the the Speaker of Congress. She is the Speaker. And if you guys know the lineup in terms of the ascension to the presidency, if something were to happen to the president of the United States of America, ill, die, or whatever it is, then the vice president becomes the president. And then someone will be appointed as the vice president. Just like what happened when JFK was assassinated, then you had Ford became the president, and then you have another individual that was appointed. But let us say for some reason, God forbid though, that both the president and the vice president are no longer with us. Then the next person is the Speaker of the House. That is Nancy. She is third in line for the presidency. Third. There's the president, there's the vice president, then there's the Speaker of the House. And so my point is, look, a powerful woman. Thank you, Tommy. Third in line. Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate that. A powerful woman, not the second, but the third. Yeah. A powerful woman. Look, her husband, Paul Pelosi, gets 5 days. Oops. Not 5 years, mind you. 5 days in jail. 5 days in jail. His wife couldn't stop him. His wife couldn't prevent him at all. Are you guys hearing me? Because I noticed somebody said, no voice. I don't know. No voice, meaning you're not hearing me, but maybe it's your computer or your phone. Sandra Steele. So look at this. 3 years probation, in a DUI, driving under the influence, not of Marby or sugar water, rum, alcohol. 5 days, the man gone to jail. But we are hearing these calabash-looking individuals who are pomposetting themselves in Guyana as ministers. They're driving away. Some of them drunk, and all manner of things. Those classless, calabash-looking individuals they don't care. But look, the United States of America, look at this guy. He's going to jail for 5 days. 5 days. And outside of that, 3 years of probation. That's right, Mike. She couldn't even save him. You think we could see these things in Guyana? No. You think you will see some of those lagu-bagus in prison? No. Every single thing they try to do is corrupt and bribery and all manner of things. You can't see that in Guyana, right? You can't. And June is correct. June is saying Paul Pelosi is too old for drunk driving. Oh, man. You may have a point, June. You may have a point. Good evening to you, Ms. Prasad. Good evening to you. Good evening to you. Right? And let's see what Brenda Cassie is saying. Hey, Brenda, how are you? And I want to thank Brenda. Brenda is always supportive. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Brenda. Okay, Brenda is correct. Mark, Guyanese allow what happens in Guyana. Of course. They sit and they allow, for the most part, and they do nothing, for the most part. And for those who are elected officials, who ought to be standing up and defending and being out there and so forth, the question is, as we would ask, in Guyanese town, where are they? What are they doing? What are they doing for we? You know, what they're doing for we is not necessarily going on, turn on a camera on Facebook and talk and wipe up your face and do up your hair and believe that that is politics and it's done with. And that is the only form of representation that the people get. No, that's not politics, right? That's not politics. All right, here's what's going on. Let me see here. All right. Let's head to Berbice. I got something I want to share with you guys. $160 million being paid per month. And I want our operator, Lemon, to please get in touch with J.R. Crawford. I want J.R. Crawford to join us. I want him to join us because I want him to be part of the discussion about this here. This, for me, I think, is the highest form of corruption. Corruption in Berbice. Corruption. It's corruption. And here's why I believe it is corruption. $160 million. I want to play a tape recording so you guys can share the link with other friends and relatives, because I have a recording that I want to share. I want you guys to hear the recording. It's the voice or the voices of two so-called elected officials in Berbice. So-called elected officials in Berbice. But before we get on to J.R. Crawford, look at this headline. The headline says, $160 million being paid per month to 4,000 part-time workers in Region 6. Now, let me ask you, and I'm looking at the comment section here. I'm looking at the comment section. Joycelyn, thank you so much. There's, I don't know, lights have some sort of a anti-effect to good-looking individuals. And I don't know what's happening with my light in the studio. It has been that way for a while. And you guys, those of you who have been commenting and asking me to take a look at the lights and so forth, I will do that, because I want to be able to sit properly and talk with you guys with a straight face instead of blinking and blinking and blinking and blinking and blinking and blinking. Thank you so much, though, Joycelyn. I appreciate it. So look at this here. Marlon Thomas is saying it's terrible corruption because many of those people didn't get the $40,000. They're not getting anything. They're not. What job? What job? Can they come out and say, what job? What job? Can somebody say what job? You know, nobody can say what job, right? But yet we're seeing this. And this is what the PPP wants to celebrate. But as they say, celebrate. This is what they want to celebrate. To give the impression that, for example, in Berbice, they have created 4,000 jobs. In Berbice, those of you who are from Berbice, or if you have relatives in Berbice, you ask them what's happening in that region, and they will tell you guys, nothing much is happening in there at all. Nothing much is happening there at all. Nothing much. No jobs, no nothing in Berbice. But this is the propaganda these people want to tell us. Look, $160 million every month. And I'll take you guys to a recording, and you guys are going to listen to that recording about the corruption. Operator, can you signal me when Mr. Crawford is on with us, please? But it's not done yet. It's not done yet about the corruption, the high corruption. But these people, they want to talk, what they want to talk about, corruption, about some African organization in Guyana, and they're paying the staff some 43 million every year. It comes up to 43. All kind of Jim Cock bring Ram Goat story. That's all they can give us. Jim Cock bring Ram Goat story. But we're not bothered about that. We want to talk about the corruption. Look, let us talk here now. Mr. Crawford is with us. Lemon? Yeah, Mr. Crawford is with us. So let's welcome him. Good evening to you, GR. How are you?
Good night, everybody. So far, so good.
Yeah, so we're going to get down to this here now. So they're saying that 4,000 jobs in Region 6, $160 million per month. If that is not corruption, well, y'all tell me nothing else about it. This is corruption. Big time corruption.
Look.
Now, in Region 2, they say they created 2,000 jobs. In Region 3, they say they created 2,000 part-time jobs. In Region 5, 1,700 part-time jobs. Region 6, as we have said earlier, 4,000 jobs. Region 10, y'all listen to this. They barely said they get 1,000 part-time jobs in Region 10. Corruption. Where are those jobs? Mr. Crawford, you are on the quarantine. You know this man, the regional chairman, whatever. 4,000 jobs on the quarantine, sir? Talk to us, Mr. Crawford. 4,000?
Mark, from my understanding, this is coming from the top, and they might have had 4,000 applications, but it's closer to 2,200 jobs. But for some strange
Look,
reason,
Mr. Crawford, it's probably not even 500 jobs. It's probably not even that. Here, what's going on. I'll give you a minute. I didn't bring you on here to just interrupt you. My apologies. But here, what's going on here. These folks, these PPP calabash-looking individuals, the Jack Deo and the Irfan and them. Here, what's happening. All of their friends and cronies on the quarantine who have some sort of business are going to submit invoices every month. Hey, bye, this is me invoice. So one businessman alone gonna get like about 20 invoices. Another one gonna get 40 something invoices. That is how they are corrupting the entire system. They are corrupt, Mr. Crawford. You speak now. You go ahead.
now you know the nature of this administration. So whatever the states are told to say, they're going to have to read from the script. Now, my information that I got was that it's closer to 2,200 as compared to the 4,000 that was said in public. So we know that the PB are trying to say that they created 50,000 jobs because that was something that they said on the campaign trail. It is not possible. It was never possible. But that was something they peddled, and a lot of people believed something like that without trying to examine where these jobs were coming from. Now, they're going to talk about, 4,000 jobs and 2,000 there and everywhere. What happens to the rest of the months that you have to survive? They're going to come back again with some kind of program where the monies are being doled out. And if you look clearly, there isn't any impact on this 1 month job that they gave out. So what was the basis of it? Am I to say that they were taking care of their supporters? That is what I believe. Because
look, $160 million a month. 160, JR, that's just for these so-called. So look, if I have a business, let's say on the quarantine, and I'm selling paddy, right? A big business, and I'm selling paddy. I can make and send 10 invoices or 20 invoices to say, hey man, may I hire a couple of them guys from Alice for fetch paddy or to dry paddy. May hire them. May hire 10 from Alice, 10 from Salton, 10 from Hackstyle, and 10 from Philippi. I've been hire none from Kildona. I've no one them buy from Kildona. And the point I'm making is that they submit these fake invoices.
Right. Something like this, the list should have been published so it can be subject to scrutiny and verification.
Who the businesses, the names of the businesses, yeah, and we can see exactly the corruption.
Right, but that is not going to happen because we are not seeing any inclusiveness with the opposition, which is part of the government, or any transparency so we can have a footprint on the monies being spent. I have never seen so much money being spent in a short period of time in the country.
Wasted. It's not spent. Wasted.
It's not wasted. It's blatant corruption. And the citizens, the common citizens, they are not holding the government of the day responsible. And it's going to have a negative effect down the road. A lot of people are crying out, but they're not coming forward and speak.
Yep, Mr. Crawford.
Yes, sir.
You're a talk show host now. When you see me missing from the screen, go on talking.
No, well, it's a disturbing trend. I mean, you and I have been trying to educate people on the necessities to have a running democracy, but we're not seeing the effort from the people themselves at trying to come out there and speak up so they can have improvements. Everybody is sitting back waiting for a good life to be served on a platter for them. But they're not coming forward. And when you call them out, they're getting, annoyed. Some of the opposition MPs, same thing. They're sitting there. They're drawing a salary from the taxpayers. But are they doing anything for the people who have employed them? No. But when
All
you
right.
call them,
We'll
they
stick
get
a
in
pin
them.
from that. Let's head to the quarantine. We'll stick a pin right there for that. And we know the level of corruption in Guyana under the PPP regime. But I want our listeners to hear this conversation among two so-called elected officials, PPP officials, and listen keenly to the conversation. Listen to the discussion. Listen to what they're talking about. Listen to what's really happening in Guyana. But tonight we break it down to what's happening in Berbice and allegations of corruption and all manner of things. So here goes.
That was the first guy thing. And then when he got in the grandpa, the boy in the trench that started cleaning the bush. And the grandpa didn't done this too. Now when Talby dig a trench. And when he asked Talby to please not to throw the door there, but throw up on this side of the road, Talby said he not taking instruction from me. And then the guy was going to protest against Sayo hold them some kind of money as them drain these people. When them clean the drain after the flood last year, they pick up them board inside the trench. They pick up the board inside the trench, because the board's in a far look at the trench and nobody never picked it up. The board will let me back to him. What would you make from now? Are you humble on this story? What? Or you still press the story? What story? You know what the court story? You know the court story with the CHMP thing? No, I know. You know the fundamentals if I come back to the concept that every report that got in this on CHPH, no, that one no. The same person making report? Every page, I know. Housing. Oh, CHPH, yes. Central Housing Planning. Yes, what happened here? But on the story, or are you going to continue to press the story? Let me tell you already, I'm going to complain.
All right, here's what's happening here now. Two officials in Berbice are talking. Two officials in Berbice are talking. One has a court matter, a police story with another individual. Now, this other senior politician, so-called PPP guy in Berbice, is saying to this other elected official that a junior elected official that he should done this story and squash it before he gets anything back for him. So you notice the blackmail that is going on here now. We'll continue.
When you talk about convert, you can continue trying to help you one way and destroy somebody else other way. When you're like I said to you before, and I'm going to say it again. People are listening to the headline. Yes, but the man willing, but the man up to the south again, the man not telling us right now. Yes. No, that.
All right, I'm not sure if you guys are understanding anything, but them attack. Me know J.R. Crawford and couple I understand what them say. But it's two officials that are talking. One of them is actually coercing the other one to say, you got to done a story before you get anything. Me deal with everything here. Me want you done with the story. Me want you do this before me do that.
Yesterday afternoon, last week Saturday, you hear? And when things happen, I'm a well-spoken guy. I don't hide it. You hear? He do it. He's not doing it, but he's putting people. No. The man not putting it. The man, he went.
Oh yeah, there are people out in those two individuals are PPP representatives in quarantine Berbice. Them are representatives, and that Ghana, that language, that English I hear, right? They said them quarantine right now. Them I live guy and I gotta understand them people. When them chap them to see attack, I gotta understand them. You can't comment and say I don't understand. I don't know. I don't understand what them man say. What them say. Them attack high level corruption here. That what them attack. And dawa I gotta understand. What go on? I gotta understand that. That what I tell you, Mr. Crawford. You
Mark,
heard that conversation there, or a
what
piece of that conversation. Go ahead.
right? What we are hearing there, and that is something that I've been saying, and you've been saying, and a few others. It doesn't matter that you support the PP. Once you're going to stay dumb, you have to be subject to their way of doing business. You're seeing that they're trying to blackmail each other right there so that they could get some business. And that has been the motive here with this administration. If you're not on their side, you're going to be punished. And many of their own supporters are feeling a lot of pressure. And it comes back to what I was saying, 10% of the population are going to have a good life, while 90% is suffering. And this is a perfect opportunity for us as a Guyanese nation to come together and try to live as one, force for a proper democracy, and all of us to have our fair share and, fair dealing across the board. But we are so bent on being divisive, being racial, that we are hurting each other and we are hurting ourselves, and we are not seeing it.
Mr. Crawford, and I will continue on the same track that those two installed so-called politicians in Borbis. I'm going to talk like that. We understand all that you're saying. I understand all of that. I am just trying to get to the bottom of the level of corruption I hear about in Borbis. You hear them two man them attack? You hear them two man attack, make corruption, them man attack, one man attack, and one man tell another one. In the conversation, I call people derogatory terms such as them black man. The conversation is for about a half hour. And I intend to play it out in full. I just got it not so long ago. But the corruption that we're hearing, one senior guy is saying to another one, a junior one, that, look, I really don't want to talk to you, and you won't get anything from me. When I call those guys up in higher up office or whatever, according to what he said, me don't know if I understand what them say, right? But I English them attack, right? Is that basically the corruption that is there. And they want the people to believe that $160 million being paid every month to 4,000 part-time workers in Region 6. That's the level of corruption I want us to talk about. Corruption, not perception of perceived corruption. It is corruption, Mr. Crawford.
Mark, this is not a monthly stuff. This is a one-off 40,000, 40 hours a month. That was a way to get to their support base to give them some monies. You see, you got to understand, they're going to look for whatever programs they can put in front on the front burner to use as if they're supplementing the incomes of people, when in reality they are just taking care of their support base. If you look at the application and people who actually work, that is why there isn't a published list. You will see more than 80% of their families and friends of the party. So this was a ploy to get to their support base using a legal front. This is where you call barefaced disrespect to those who don't subscribe to the PPP.
Nepotism, corruption at every level. Let's continue for another minute with this conversation here, please.
With this behavior, this is where we need a firm resistance from the opposition now, because you look at all the programs and who benefits. So this is what causing the problem, because we are not having a proper resistance to stop these monies from going out.
I listening to the headline, man. I listening to the headline. I listening to it. So we can have both parties. He can want to say to me or to anybody common sense. Principle to rely on good common sense. But then you as a thing to believe to be near to set here in Iran. I'm not too sure if for many years. Since my little boy growing up, I know that. I know family, I know it's poor for Jarish, so I know not for them. Yeah. But the only thing that he can use against me in my personal capacity that he has no evidence about is being an actor. He can't. No, wait, no. Wait, no. Let me tell you that. That's the only thing he can use against him. Man, enforcement, never trouble. Yeah. Because like we said numerous times. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, the day when the Jeep of police got there. Yeah, customer call me say I deport, all sorts of things. Yeah. Like I said, there's only a headline. So you're not going to cover your side. Like I said, that's only the headline. So like I said, it's big for me, and if you know better, they bring the police and approach me. In case closed. In case closed, they bring the police and approach me. If he gonna want policies and principles, my policy now. If you want to have a solve this issue with that technical side, whatever it comes to this, you just stand up. We don't go forward. Nobody matters. Nobody matters. I will only go forward when both parties decide to make peace, and I will help both sides. Let me say, he for me. They bring the police and they approach. No, you see, I don't want them to listen. I don't want me to listen to somebody, and let me say, maybe if you want me to be part of when you have a meet, I don't mind.
Yeah, it's sad listening to it, even for the derogatory terms used against persons of African descent. These are coming from especially one of the PPP officials there out in Berbice. Mr. Crawford, you were talking about the racism in the country and so forth. And I know that I want us to talk about the high-level corruption that's happening in Berbice and all over. I don't know. Go ahead. You talk. It's sickening to listen to some of these folks when they speak or attempt to speak.
Mark, from what I'm seeing here in Berbice, it's on Berbice has a supplanted Region 4 when it comes to corruption in this short period of time, and they are very, very blatant about it. It's like whatever they do, they wouldn't have to answer to no one about it. And there is no care or concern for the common citizen. And, this point back to, this is not bad governance, but being vindictive and spiteful. That $160 million that was so-called given out, they could have supplemented fuel prices, flour, sugar, basic necessities, soap. So everybody could have, been able to afford it. But instead of that, they pushed it into their support base. The people who are responsible for these programs knew who they had to take care of. So when you look back at this, it's a slap in those who do not support the PPP faces. And we are not seeing anybody coming out and speaking out about, being shafted by this administration. So what does that tell us? Are we not concerned at what is happening? Are we afraid to talk out? Or have we just given up? And this is where we need the party of our choice, those who do not subscribe to the PPP, to step out there and to be the voices for the people that are left behind or who have just been straightforward disrespected by this administration. But we are not seeing that combined effort. So people have probably just given up. I mean, what else can we do? There is no more fight. But this administration here has not, taken in consideration social media and other platforms that these things are going to be exposed. And it's not something to do in the 21st century to blatantly, starve people in a kind of way. What I would hope that the opposition now, they are going to be much more vigilant and attack this situation as soon as, it arises. But then again, we are seeing a 1 week push and we're seeing a 1 month relaxation. So we can't get anything in motion to stop this nonsense that's going on. And the monies of this country is being doled out any which way, like it's going out of style.
Lots of things seem to be out of the ordinary in Guyana. They are out of the ordinary. The corruption, the high level, high scale corruption by the PPP. Let's move away from this, Mr. Crawford. You want to touch, let's touch now on the voters registration and that list. Got 750,000 persons since we were little boys kicking and pitching marbles on the quarantine, Crawford. 750,000 since we were little boys. Probably went to Mr. Ross Nursery School, then Alnis Primary School, and so forth. And we're big men now. Big men, we're really big men now. And the population is still 750,000. But outside of that, the voters list has now 650 something thousand persons in a country. Never before have we heard of this in Guyana or any other part of the world. 95% of a country's population are ready to vote. What's going on there?
Mark, 3 years ago on this very platform, I spoke about using fingerprints and all these things to arrive at a voters list. And a lot of folks was complaining that it's too expensive and all these things. I don't know why Guyana's population is stuck to that 750. I don't know if it's an economic ploy they're using or what for whatever reason. I don't believe that number. Like you said, since we were in primary school, kindergarten, we were hearing the same numbers. And, I don't believe it. Now, the voters list, when you have, even if you had 800,000 people, when you have 600 and something thousand on the list, so we don't have kids, we don't have people that died. Something is not right with this list. And not until that we have an updated, what I must say, way of arriving at the list, would we be able to have a proper election. And I am hoping that on the next election that we have people who are fingerprinted and have their pictures there. So once you go into a polling station, you will have to submit to fingerprinting and it will cross-match on the database, and then you're allowed to go in. That would take away about 80% of the voters fraud that we're seeing and causing a problem in our elections. Now, as far as GECOM's behavior, GECOM is on a yo-yo. 1 minute they're up, 1 minute they're down. So we are clearly seeing that we are having the wrong people at the helm of GECOM. And, that's a sad situation in today's society, to see that people are so hell-bent on being corrupt just to destroy the democracy of a nation. And I hope the poor folks on the bottom level, like myself and many others, would see that there are only a selective few who are denying us our voices by not wanting to do the best thing for the country, so we can have the proper people being elected into office. And I'm almost positive that with the continued pressure from some folks on the different platforms, we will have an up-to-date behavior as where we can arrive at a proper voters list to get a clear and transparent election.
Don't hold your breath. Jack Day doesn't want that. They want the list to continue to be as bloated as the list as it has been for many years now. Because the PPP knows that they are the only ones who benefit from a bloated voters list. And right now the list is bloated. I agree with Aubrey Norton, and they got a leader of the opposition, Mr. Aubrey Norton. I agree with him. They need to go out. They need to be more aggressive in exposing this matter. Even if 1 or 2 or 300 of them got to be in front of GCOM. They got to expose this matter. 750,000 the population is. We could be lower because lots of people from Borbies all over Albion, Skellen, Portmont, even Linden, Bartica, wherever, they've gone out of the country. There are more Guineas outside of Guyana than there are Guineas inside of Guyana. And that list cannot be 700. I mean, our population cannot be 750,000. What happened? People now make picnic too?
Well, our school system said 200,000 in schools. But Mark, here is something that, you know, will stop that nonsense. GCOM is heading towards biometrics, right? So Jagdeo could talk all he wants about keeping the list. Once you're fingerprinted, that is a new list.
Who do you
So
think?
he's not.
No. GCOM cannot make any decision, any big decision as it pertains to elections without the PPP. Don't fool yourself. GCOM is not independent. Claudette Singh does everything in favor of the PPP. Story done. They got 3 commissioners there now. All 3 of the PPP commissioners will vote for whatever their party wants. And wherever they vote and whatever they vote on, Claudette Singh is joining them. Don't expect any independence coming from GCOM.
Yes, we have seen that. But I am telling you, this next election, it will be a step up from the last election. It cannot go the same way, or we're going to have bloodshed in this country. Is that what we want? Innocent lives at stake? You see, the population has to demand it, because you can't allow 10 or 15 self-centered people to cause a problem for a whole nation. Let us get a free and transparent election.
That is because a whole nation is allowing a bunch of Nimakarams, a bunch of calabash-looking individuals to run havoc in the country. It has got to stop one way or the other, Mr. Crawford. That is why we need strong opposition. Strong opposition. If the opposition can be strong, either go in front of their office and protest and drag them out and tell them hit the streets and represent us.
Mark, yes, the opposition, that's their job. But the people themselves have to be able to take matters in their hands for their own benefit and future. If the opposition is not being strong enough, the people should be wise enough to say, look, we are all suffering. It doesn't matter if we are black or Indian. What matters is that we have a better future tomorrow, and come together, and whoever is causing the oppression, the hardship, let's get them out of office. We as individuals have to take responsibility for our future as well. Many times we may have confidence in leaders, but sometimes we'll have to do some extra work ourselves. You and I are out there talking about the betterment of this country. Why can the rest of the population join and do the same? It is their future. The politicians already have a sealed future. It's a golden future. They've gotten there and they've gotten rich. So the people who support them have to step up. They cannot just sit down and expect to have democracy delivered by the mail. And this is what is lacking in this country. You saw Suriname stepped up. You saw Sri Lanka stepped up. Why are our Guyanese not stepping up? They're complaining. But then again, if you look at it, you get a sporting event and the same people who are broke, they're there. So you start to wonder what's really going on in their heads. Are these people so entrenched in being suppressed and oppressed, they're happy with that kind of life? Look at it. They have to, when they come out, they're forcing their leaders to come out, or the leaders will have to vacate the position.
The people are happy. The people seem to be very happy. Nobody's coming out. Nobody's saying much.
That's my point.
People are asking, Mark, when you coming back?
Well, that's foolish. You have done it.
They're happy. We'll take a quick break. We'll take a quick break to show how happy they are.
I will play rough. I will play rough. Sometimes you see a man lost. The man want to show you how wicked and tough. And the enemy back with a handcuff. You are going to take it. I step on Chichi man. Step on everything.
We are done, man, I want out every man. I'll step one kitty man. Can you say you're a kitty man?
The people are happy. Nobody's belling the cat. Nobody's coming out. Not even those who have been elected to represent the people in Parliament. They're not coming out. The only time they come out is when the last time we saw a bulk of them came out to speak was when they got expelled from Parliament. 8 of them got expelled from Parliament, and the bulk of them we never heard from. Every minute they get so vexed, upset, they get kicked out of Parliament. You know, the only time we hear from them is when something happens to them. But when people, when things happen to the ordinary citizens, we hardly ever hear from them. I don't know.
That is why unity at the root will hold the elected officials, either side, accountable. And, you know, like I said earlier, I don't know what has gone wrong with our nation. We seem to be waiting. Everything is on the United States, on England, on Canada. We're not going to get anywhere if we don't fight for what we want here by ourselves.
No. America is going to do everything for the people.
No.
Everything. And that's the impression some folks give. Good. Yes, America can help, and America would help, and America has been helping. But the Chinese people got to stand up and defend and help themselves as well.
Right. And another sad part of it is the lack of understanding or trying to educate oneself. Everyone has an opportunity to get on social media. Instead of going on there and trying to educate themselves in something that would be beneficial, they're always with this party mode or all these funny things that will not impact them on a positive manner. And we are losing out opportunity to move from one level to another level. As we're having this opportunity to get on the internet, let's educate ourselves to see how we can, you know, benefit our communities. In that way, we can benefit our region and then benefit the country. But we are more interested in the fast life rather than a secure life for ourselves and our children. And I call it a kind of selfish mentality. And if you look at the influx now of the religious institution, from our time growing up in high school to now, it's about 3 times more religious institution. And people have seemed to become much, much more evil as the religious institution increase. So I wanted to know, what are they preaching in these so-called holy grounds? We are seeing more hate. We are seeing more discrimination. We are seeing more uncaring people. What are we getting for being around the country? We're not contributing anything that's meaningful to our society anymore.
Well, there are people who are, not all Guyanese, I'm going to paint with the same brush, but these corrupt, calabash-looking individuals who are in this installed regime. All they can ever think about is corruption and corruption and corruption. Hear what, Mr. Crawford?
Mark, before you go,
we're not going.
Before you move on, I want to make something clear.
Go ahead.
When I say Guyanese on a negative tone, I'm not saying that they aren't Guyanese who are not fighting for our betterment. They are, but we are in a minority compared to where we should have been in a majority.
Gotcha.
So I want you to understand that not all of them are under that don't care umbrella.
Gotcha.
But the majority.
Thank you, sir. I got you. We'll take a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
So This is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
Look at this comment from a Miss Simons. Patriotism is dead in Guyana. Is that accurate?
Yes.
I'll tell you what. We have seen, and all Guyanese should have been proud, we saw a better Guyana under the coalition. We saw people were being very patriotic. They were returning to that. But under this corrupt installed regime, all we're hearing every day is corruption upon corruption, murders, whether corruption in the Guyana police force. We see that there are allegations of corruption and stymieing a murder probe with the Detective Dion Bascom, Sergeant Bascom situation, a whistleblower. All manner of corruption we're hearing about. And it looks like the corrupt businessmen, we know who they are. Corrupt businessmen, they know who they are. Corrupt businessmen, all of our listeners know who they are. They are the ones who are running Guyana. And we've got to stop them by any and every legal means necessary, even if some of them have to be extradited. They've got to go. Mr. Crawford.
Mark, you know what's the funny thing? The only place you wouldn't see racism.
Jail.
No,
Jail.
No, not the jail.
Well, Cam Street too. Trust me. Cam Street.
Well,
Hey,
I can't argue with you.
everybody, you're in there, seriously. Cam Street. Well, go ahead.
Anything that's for sale on a public front, you wouldn't see racism there because it's all about the money. And another thing,
not just Cam Street. The cathedral too. There's no racism there.
I'm saying in the markets,
Yes.
when you have your produce there,
Cathedral.
you will sell to anybody. And another thing the people of Guyana should understand, when you're driving a car down the street, and if you yank the steering to the left or the right, the car wouldn't go straight. And that, it will follow where the front wheels go. And that is what happens when the government is corrupt. The people will follow suit. And then the communities break down, and it destroys the morals of the people of the country. That is why we saw under the coalition, people were returning back to a proper mannerism because the leader was showing a proper example. But the Guyanese, many of them chose not to want to stay within that same thing, starting with that one from Canada. They wanted to return to the dirty ways. And, it's sad to say we're seeing some of the 20-something and 30-something-year-old folks who are saying that under the coalition, it was hard to survive because runnings was cut. But now the PPP is back in office, money is flowing again because everybody can do whatever.
No, but I'm not saying that any longer. That was a false perception. They're not saying that any longer.
They're saying it now.
They were safer under the coalition than they are now. They're not safe here at all. Under the PPP at
I'm
all.
speaking of the runs, my friend, the drugs, the weed. That is what they're happy about. They can sell as they please. But
And
nobody cares.
to collect crumbs from some of the so-called businessmen who are running around pretending as though they're giving out something from their heart.
Exactly.
People, you know.
Well, that is the thing, because no one cares what happened to our country. But again, when I was talking about educating oneself, right? If you look around the world, some countries have earthquake, some countries have tornadoes, winter, snow, whatever. We have a perfect country with perfect climate, just rain and sun. And we are not thankful and to say how lucky we are that we don't have to deal with so many things that other nations have to deal with on a yearly basis. Here again, the care and the concern for each other and for the mother country doesn't exist anymore. It's all about what I can garner for myself and how I can show up my neighbors that I am better than them. That is what Guyana is about now. How I can show off how much I've got. And that's where we lost our focus.
And yeah, just a matter of showing off. And those folks, we know who they are, never come to see. They're never accustomed to the amount of monies that they have now, or fancy cars, or fancy bicycles, or fancy three-piece suits and them nonsense that they never come to see. And a lot of these guys who have access to those sort of things, trust me, you ask them to speak, bring them on this show. Them by can't talk, by then I don't know if it talk.
No, they wouldn't. They start babbling.
Them by then like those, talk, by.
Like those two government employees there, and that wonderful conversation there.
Yeah. Look, let me ask you your take as we look at the time. Your take on the regional security officer that's there in Guyana. One officer, one man alone investigating a matter, a serious murder probe in Guyana. A serious murder probe in Guyana. One man show up to investigate it, and then to invite his colleagues them via Zoom. I don't know. I thought that if any investigation was going to be a serious investigation, then at least 5 investigators from RSS, the regional security agencies, should have been in Guyana investigating this matter. But to have one person there in Guyana this moment, something is telling me something, but I don't want to say something. What is your take on that?
My take is that somewhere along the line, the investigation is contaminated. It wouldn't get anywhere. Because from Jump Street, you're seeing the lack of effort and bodies being on the ground. So that tells you right there, there isn't too much focus on what should have been there. And this, again, like you said, raises eyebrows and alarms. Where are we headed? What is going on in our country? Are we in a deep state? I think yes. So the people of this country will again be let down. That's my point on sending one individual.
You know, but this is sad though. You know, one man is in that country to investigate, but he's going to share whatever he does. He found with his colleagues on Zoom. When at least 3, 4, or 5 of them should have been in Guyana investigating this matter here. I for some reason, I'm not getting this sort of confidence that this investigation, or this so-called review, mind you, is going to get anywhere.
Mark,
I don't know. Yeah.
Again, the Guyanese people are not being respected around the world because of the way our country is running. So whatever should have been wouldn't, because there is no respect for us and for the rule of law by our citizens and our government. So why bother to go through, the ropes when the country is running backwards? And it's all our fault because, again, as citizens, we throw our hands up in the air. Oh, it doesn't concern me. I am getting what I want from my party, and that's how the country goes backwards. We have lost the respect that we had in the 80s and the 90s and the 70s from our Caribbean brothers and sisters. And it's nobody's fault but the citizens of this country. By allowing a few people to destroy our reputation, our mannerism, our will to excel, to improve, whatever you may say, it falls at our feet. We are not holding those that we elect accountable. Things are happening. Oh, it doesn't concern me. It's good for them. You know, black man get killed. Who cares? You know, and those are the things that are not nice. It will destroy our morals.
Mr. Crawford, before we close, nobody's talking about the elections petition. Both sides. We're not hearing anything. And that bothers me, though, that here it is. And sometimes I really, I don't want to get emotional. But it pains me because of how this country is, Guyana is at this moment. That you have a bunch of individuals who are in office under questionable circumstances over 2 years now, and elections that was actually questionable. The results we don't know. In order for us to really know who won the elections, coming out of the recount process, nobody has disputed that the coalition won with all of the good votes added, except you kick all of the bad votes out, the coalition won. But when you include the bad votes, the thousands of bad votes, the PPP is in office. I just cannot sit here and accept that the PPP, that Jack Dale, that Irfan Ali, that Mark Phillips, that they're legitimate prime ministers or presidents. I just cannot accept that at all. They're not legitimate, because if the elections is questionable, and we have them in the courts right now, nobody wants these elections petitions, to be heard. Your take, please, as we prepare to close, about the elections petitions not being heard.
Mark, first off, I'm going to ask you a question. The United Nations, what is the function of the United Nations?
Man, I've been learning since Mr. Golden class primary school.
No, I would like you to repeat a little bit for our viewers.
Me no want to, man. Me no want to repeat.
All right, good.
Me no want to repeat nothing. All viewers are bright enough. They know what the United Nations is coming together in terms of when it was formed. It was the League of Nations, I believe, back in 1947 or something like that. But me no want to talk about it, man. Because if we talk about it, we'll make them, some of them trench crappers bright.
One of its primary functions is to make sure that there is a functioning democracy in its members. Right? Now, you're saying that no one is talking about the petition. That is true. Because of the divisive nature of our political landscape, even within the coalition. The man who is supposed to be supported was run off. And I don't care who says, otherwise. At this juncture, he is the only person who can bring us back within 6 months of living with respect for each other. Now, he was run off, but he's not out of it yet. Some of us who are in position to fight for the petition to be heard, or to make contact with those who can administer pressure on this current government to bring forward the petition, they're not doing their job, because it wouldn't benefit them if the petition is heard and Mr. Granger is reinstated. Or I shouldn't say if, when. The United Nations, we are members there. They should have seen that the petition is there, it's part of a functioning democracy. We must step in, have the courts step up the process. A petition should not be heard 2, 3, 4, 5 years after an election is called. It should be done within a month. Because there are a lot of losses, a lot of gains. illicit gains that happens in that time. The ABC countries who are very vocal during their election period are suddenly gone silent, which lends one to believe that they were complicit in destroying our functioning democracy. And then in the same breath, they're saying that they're caring for our country's growth. How can you care for the growth of a country and the well-being of its citizens when you interfered with their democracy and the democratic process? You force the sitting president to walk away from office. These are not helpful people. These are self-serving people. Again, it comes back to the citizens of Guyana. If you want to have a proper country, you need to take actions for what is going on here. Unity will triumph over anyone. Yes, the international people may send a few dollars here and there, but what is their ulterior motive? How can they benefit? From our foolishness, they are going to benefit and we are losing everything. And that's where our people must understand that they have to take their survival into their own hands. Yes, we need the international countries for other things, but our democracy starts here with us. We can't expect them to come into our countries and say, hey, you know, we got to change this government. No, we are saying that there was a problem. The international forces are not the ones who went to the polls. We did. But yet we are sitting here waiting on them on a rocking chair, you know, to see when they're going to come by. It wouldn't happen. If we sit here, we will go back to the polls in 2025. On an important point, we are pumping 386,000,000 barrels of oil per day. That gives us on a calendar month of 30 days, $1,042,000,000 a month. I don't know what's our take. I didn't get to the numbers yet per month. But you look over $12 trillion a year and look at the conditions that we are facing in this country. Many homes are skipping meals. Many homes are starting to cut back on things that they used to buy last year or the year before. And no one is fighting for it. What happens to us? Where is the profits going? And with all these monies that are coming in, we are still seeing, oh, we're borrowing a 50 million for this person, a 2 million from that person. Why are we borrowing monies in that sum when we are supposed to have it in the NRF fund? Why aren't these loans questioned? So we are not seeing this accountability from both sides. So the people are left stuck with an uncertain future because the monies that are garnered now from the oil proceeds are going to pay back these loans that we don't know where it went and why we took them in the first place when we have our own monies. We are not seeing our gold being bought up by the government to shore up our financial future down the road as other countries may do. Everything for this country is for sale, from your integrity to a leaf off a tree. Nobody is saying, you know what, let's start a stockpile some of the gold. Mysteriously, the gold production went down as soon as the coalition came out of office. When the coalition was there, it was on a 5-year upswing. Those things are not understood. And we are having more modernized equipment now in the mining area. Our manganese is being shipped out by a known corrupt country, China. China is slowly trying to make us a surrogate for their mainland operation. We think by running the Chinese store, I have nothing against Chinese, but their leaders' behavior. What happens? They are documentaries where the wharfs in some countries serve as a wharf in a day and a covert operation base at nights. Are we allowing Guyana to go in the same direction? No wonder we're having a one Guyana instead of one nation, one destiny. So we are being converted because of corruption. And the people are not seeing that they're headed back into economic slavery because of their lack of actions. Stop waiting for people to come and do your work. Do it yourself.
All right,
everybody
Mr. Crawford, you're saying it as it is. We're looking at the time, though. Crawford, there's always other times. You welcome to come on. I know you can go on until midnight. I don't want to stop you, though. But you were making another point there. Go ahead.
My thing is, I hope Mr. Armagon could produce a list of the 4,000 jobs that was given out recently. I know some party members going to say why we don't need to produce a list. That is part of the inclusive behavior of a government and transparency, so we can be at rest to say, you know what, the $160 million was honestly spent, but I can't see the impact of spending $160 million in Region 6. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right.
But maybe you are right more than you are wrong.
One thing I want to mention as I'm on the air here.
Go ahead.
We're seeing a blatant disrespect in some of the villages that are not PPP strongholds, where the conditions of the road is the problem. The Blackbush Road project that they have done, Mark, is ridiculous.
We got to see some photographs, and indeed, this corrupt PPP regime.
Look, I was going to drive around and give you some videos, but I don't have the money to go and repair my vehicle after going through that. We will start when your vehicle is broken. We will start a GoFund you. Mark,
we can find you. We got you, JR. But get some photographs for us as we prepare to go, though. Go ahead. Make your final point as quickly as possible.
Some patchwork that was done in June. The roads have already started to break again. So this is where a blatant waste of money. Is it by design or is it by incompetence? I think it's by design, because if you know that you're building roads for where heavy duty vehicles are going to pass, you're going to go deeper than 2 inches of asphalt.
They're not concerned about that. They're not concerned about quality work. They're not concerned about how things look. They're not concerned about Guyana. It's all about corruption, racism, all manner of things. That is what's happening under the PPP regime. Look at this fake jobs, 4,000 jobs in Berbice quarantine. That's a lie, $160 million per month, your tax-paying dollars. These are the corruption, the level of corruption that folks like Jack Dew and all those other calabash-looking individuals got to be looking at. But Mr. Crawford, we really, really got to run. We're looking at the time, 10:30 right now. Thank you so much, as always. Even at the last minute, you were able to be on with us to share what's happening. Keep an eye on this corruption with the so-called 4,000 part-time job. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on other stuff. Thank you for being an ear and a voice for the people, having an ear on the ground, and in order to be a voice of the people whenever we call upon you. You are doing the work of 20 members of parliament. Those 20 members of parliament who are fast asleep, monkeypox going around. Up to now, we can't hear from the shadow minister of health. If she can't handle it, just quit. Just move on. Speaking of quitting, former Speaker of the National Assembly, Mr. Raphael Trotman, has resigned his position as an MP. He has resigned. So there's one person who has to be sent into Parliament. Where's Lemon? If Lemon can just remove this guy from this page for now, remove him. We want to see J.R. Crawford's face. Who do you think Aubrey Norton, the leader of the opposition, is going to put in Parliament to replace Mr. Raphael Trotman? Let's see. And let's see some of the viewers or listeners. Who do you guys think will replace Mr. Trotman?
Mark, that's a tough call because the opposition has been, how can I put it, so weak. We don't know what they plan to do. We don't know if they're going to find a straight shooter who is going to come off the hip, or they're going to look.
The opposition is strong, you know, but if their strategies are weak, maybe from a leadership side, there's a different thing. I don't want to say that the opposition is weak.
I'm going to say it's weak because
the PVP is weak. The PVP is weak. The PVP in office is corrupt and racist. That's what I want to say. But the opposition, if they get proper strategy, stronger leadership, not just out of mouthing and this, because when Aubrey campaigned, when Aubrey got in there, you know, God knows, I thought Claudette Singh would have gone the next day.
Listen, Aubrey, yes, Aubrey made a lot of noise, but a little bit of defense to Aubrey. Team.
Wait, nope. You're going to make Aubrey supporters them, you know, what's going on? You defend.
Well,
go ahead. I'm just being a bit facetious. Go ahead.
Aubrey cannot be omnipresent. And the team has to pitch in every little way. Aubrey can be all over the place, but Aubrey needs to hit the ground, listen to the common person, and they'll give him the suggestions of who is actually helping him and who is hurting him. And he needs to make the hard choices.
All right.
Some people have to be pulled.
The leader
but remember,
the leader
Aubrey will only be as good as his weakest member on the parliamentary team.
All right, we got to go to Mr. Crawford, but Mr. Aubrey Norton, good evening to you, sir. Make the opposition stronger, strategize better, listen to advice from others. You don't know it all. Far from it, sir. But the opposition is not weak. The opposition is strong. They just need to just get going and get the things done. But here's who I think, some names we will be, I think we will be hearing. You'll hear a guy who lives next to Jack Dale, Gary Best.
Gary Best, he can be there.
Right. You'll hear his name. You will hear also the WPA. They have a couple members, but they will fight. You know, Dr. David Hines, I like to tease them about their 5 or 6 members of the WPA. The WPA is going to push to have either Kadaki or David Hines himself to go in there. So watch out for this sort of the names that will be thrown up.
I think it's going to be an AFC member. It will be an AFC member.
The AFC.
Well, regardless of what it is.
Remember, remember the list has to be, that replacement has to come from Region 4, right? And I'm not sure who they have in Region 4 for that replacement. And in my opinion, it should not be an AFC member at all. It shouldn't be, because the AFC has been the weakest.
What are we seeing in Linden right now with this Braffett and Goring situation?
I don't know. I haven't been following them. It's just a waste of time to follow some of those people.
Now,
it's a waste of time.
A good pick to go to Parliament from a Region 4 area, I would say a Daniel Searam.
Daniel Searam is currently the chairman of Region 4.
Right.
And
but we must say that he has opportunity to be a leader in the future.
People looking for leadership right now. People ain't looking for leadership.
Well, that's
in
what I'm
the
saying.
future.
Go into
With the
parliament.
ratings going, with the ratings going, people monkeypox, donkeypox, Jack Deere pox, Irfan pox. People didn't even know if they're gonna survive. You telling people a leader in the future. People want a leader right now.
Well, Seram has shown that he is not easily intimidated, and you know he goes on the ground to people, and those are the kind of people that you'll want to be there in the interest of the country.
Yeah, people want people being here right now in the interest of the country right now. People want leadership right now. Daniel
Well, I'm sorry.
Seram is a nice guy.
Sorry
Don't get me wrong. He's a nice guy. But when was the last time you heard about Daniel Seram, the Honorable Chairman for Region 4, see him in the news standing up and taking on these corrupt individuals in the PPP? When was the last time? He is in a powerful... 1 second, Mr. Crawford. I do not interrupt you when you speak. Please don't interrupt, because we're going to go up the road just like small days.
Apologies, sir.
But when was the last time you heard Mr. Seram is in a position of leadership? Comrade, if we can say that. You don't have to go in parliament to prove that you're a leader. You don't have to be an elected official to prove that you're a leader. We got to stop this nonsense. That is why some people say, oh, they got to go into parliament before they can become effective, or they got to be in some sort of position before they can be effective. You can be effective without going into any position. Speaking of leadership, the last time I heard from Vola Lawrence, she was supposed to go to parliament to offer leadership. Where is my friend Paula? Is she offering leadership? I don't know, man. I don't know, Mr. Crawford.
I stand corrected, my brother.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Leadership. So we must put Seram, and nothing against Mr. Seram. He and I had a nice conversation this morning. He's a good guy, don't get me wrong. Future leaders, yes, these guys. But in order to be a future leader, you got to start working now. You got to put in your seed now. You got to plant now. You got to prepare yourself for that. You just don't take somebody and dump them in a position and say, "Hey, go along and you are a future leader." You just don't do that. So this thing here, somebody's asking about Trotman. Mr. Trotman has been undergoing surgery in his throat. He hasn't been speaking for months now. He cannot speak for months now. Let's wish him a speedy recovery, please, Aliyah.
Mark Trotman actually made that agreement that in 2022 he would step down to give a rotation.
In 2020, he did say
so he actually is honoring something that he had mentioned back in 2020. It's not that he was forced to step down, or it's an agreement he made.
And probably, who is going to replace Mr. Trotman should be a fighter. If we look at the list, you said that an AFC person will have to be replaced. I'm totally against that, because if an AFC person goes in there, it's just going to be the same nonsense. And this is not to say that all of the AFC members are full of nonsense, but they have caused a lot of problems since the coalition to now. They're still causing problems. I don't think the person should replace Mr. Trotman.
There is another good person. I wouldn't say good, but a great person that can go in there. But I don't know if it's something that they would be interested in.
Who's that?
Nigel Hughes.
You see, one of the things that we're doing is we're calling names without understanding the list system.
He's on it.
Mr. Hughes is not on the list, so his name cannot be extracted.
He's not on the list from the AFC.
No. He cannot be extracted. So his name, only those whose names are on the list. And right now, the list has been exhausted, especially with the AFC folks. It's done with. Who are you going to put now? Gary Best?
No, I don't want Gary Best, so just leave it alone. Whoever Mr. Granger and Mr. Norton comes up with and cameras, we'll see with that.
We can't depend on them to come up. We got to look at the list, and we got to force them to choose somebody, because they might just end up choosing somebody who goes in there and can't function.
That's a possibility.
That can't function.
Because that to have a buddy system.
Yeah. A buddy system indeed. But let's watch out. I know David Hines is going to fight for a WPA person to be in there. And he's going to fight for Kadaki to be in there. Now, if Kadaki goes in there, I don't know. Sometimes when you go in a seat, you change,
That too.
But is Kadaki Amsterdam ready to be in that position? But then again, look, let me shut up, because most of them in parliament right now, on the opposition side and on the PPP side, should not have even been there. Should not have even been there. But as always, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Crawford. I know your kids, your son and your beautiful daughter, who is named after her grandmother, her maternal grandmother, her paternal grandmother, sorry. I mean, your mother, Auntie Lily, happy birthday to both of them. Belated birthday greetings to them. Thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Crawford. Yeah. J.R. Crawford there for you guys. J.R. Crawford for you guys there. Of course, Lily Crawford, J.R.'s mom, that would make his daughter, that would make Lily Crawford would have been her paternal grandmother. And so, the Crawfords up on the current team, nice people. Not all of them. Some of them could proper cuss up. But they're good people. Some, even when they're cursing, they're good people. Were I on that list, I probably would have called Aubrey Norton to tell him, put me in parliament. Let me show those individuals who are sleeping in parliament on the opposition side what a parliamentarian should be doing. I would have been doing that. I would have been doing that. But I'm not on the list and I can't go in parliament. But we'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for ensuring that you share the link and all manner of things that you do for us here on 107.1 FM. I'll be back tomorrow. Like I've said, same place, same time, with more information for you. God bless you, and God bless our beautiful country. You've got to pray for that country. We've got to pray. We've really, really, really got to pray for our country, because these guys have wrecked that country inside out. They have wrecked the country. All right. Until tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
I'm in the mood, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling hot, I want to run. The feeling exciting, so darling, let's do something. I want to rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I want to rub my body wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. Rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body. Rub my body on your body. I just get paid. I want to play. The vibes is right. I wanna hug up tight. No time to waste. I wanna work my waist. So come on, babes. Give me a taste. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Pulling on. I feeling, 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 I feeling.